Well, good morning. As usual, I'm here a little early in order to set the tone for the day. I listened to Apostle Leroy Thompson on the way in pretty much every morning just to get me spiritually grounded, set up my day to prepare for the students to come in. So usually I come in and take a look at my emails from either yesterday that I missed or what's going on today. And so I open it up, and it's North Carolina Department of Public Instruction has a press release for immediate release February 5th, 2025, which was yesterday. Today is the 6th. All right. So let's take a look at what the data says as far as schools are concerned here in North Carolina. These are the details that teachers, students, parents, not necessarily students, but parents need to pay attention to. All right. Consolidated report shows decrease in school violence dropouts. North Carolina Public School Unit reported decrease in school violence and high school dropouts in 2023-24 academic year, according to the annual consolidated data report presented today to the State Board of Education. While the number of alternative learning placement as a disciplinary action also decreased, the report found an increase in the number of both in-school and long-term suspension. Now, I am an ISS teacher, so the in-school suspension is ISS. Long-term can be OSS, which is really about 5 to 10 days, but long-term is an alternative school or out of the school system pretty much altogether. The report's findings provide opportunity for school districts to identify and target intervention and increase safety awareness and protocols in their schools and communities. While crime and acts of violence in school are always unacceptable and hinders the learning and growth of students, State Superintendent, we have a new State Superintendent that was elected, Maurice Mo Green, said, I'm optimistic that the reduction in the rate of crime, violence, and dropout in high school related reflect positive change. It is promising that 77% of the North Carolina public schools report 0 to 5 acts of school violence. There still is much work to be done to address race, gender, and disability disparities. I look forward to working with others to address these rates in the years to come. All right. So a new administration coming in from the past election, and giving out a report on the overall status and data related to schools here in North Carolina. All right. Overall rates of crime and violence during the 2023-24 school year decreased by 7.1% from 2022 to 2023, while instances of assault on school personnel and bomb threats hoax increased. Every other reportable act of crime decreased or remained consistent between 2022 and 2023 and 2023-2024. All right, let's go over that again. Overall rate of crime and violence during the 2023-24 school year decreased by 7.1% from 2022 to 2023. Now, here's the caveat. While instances of assault on school personnel and bomb threats increased, all right, every other reportable act of crime decreased or remained constant between 2022 and 2023 and 2023-2024. So, assault on school personnel. That's one of the rules that we have up here, and it would be rule number 18, which is assault on an adult or an assault on a student. All right. Now, that's troubling, obviously, and that leads to a lot of the problems that we do have with teachers across the nation. You'll get reports that teachers are leaving the profession for various reasons. Primarily, a lot of things are going on in the classroom. All right. So let's go on. So we've covered that. We went over that again. So that's something you need to pay attention to. All right. Year-to-year rate of crime and violence dropped by between 2022 and 2023, and 2023 to 2024 from 15.10 to 14.9, respectively. While acts of crime and violence is up 9.3% from 2021 to 2022, this is the first data, post-COVID pandemic data point. All right. So again, we have acts of crime and violence are up in 9.3% from 2021 through 2022. This is the first data posted post-pandemic data points. All right. In addition to the reduction in the instance of crime and violence, the total number and rates of enrollment in alternative programs in schools also decreased by 10.1% and 10.3%, respectively, from the past academic year, as did alternative learning placement as disciplinary actions, 17.2% and 17.4%, respectively. Alternative learning programs in schools are safe, orderly, and caring and inviting learning environments that assist students with overcoming challenges that might place them at risk or academic failure. The goal of each program in school is to provide a rigorous education while developing individual student strengths, talents, and interests. And a lot of that is what I'm trying to do here in this ISS program at our middle school. I have a plethora of information here, and I stress to them there's work that must be done. They must turn it in. They must complete their assignments from their assigned teachers or their classes, even though they're out of the system or out of the normal class day for, and as I repeat myself, it's typically a full day in ISS with me is 6 hours, right? In 2 days, that's 12, 3 days, and usually that's about what I get. An anomaly is for me to get a 5-door indoor suspension. That's an entire week, all right? That's a long time for them to spend out of class with me. And in most instances, unfortunately, depending on the school district and whatever else, there are different variables. That's a lot of time to be down out of class, right? But they're supposed, by law, they have to do the work. And if they don't do the work is being provided for them. So here's the dilemma, the catch-22. If they're in class and not doing the work and disruptive, and they come to ISS and they're not doing the work or disruptive, then the next step is outdoor suspension, okay? So let's go on. Both short-term suspension and long-term suspension removal from school declined in the same period. Long-term removal included long-term suspension and alternative learning enrollments in lieu of long-term suspension. Notably, the number of expulsions decreased by 53.4% during the 2023-24 school year. The rate of in-school suspension, which is what I'm over, or the instructor in, the rate of in-school suspension and long-term suspension increased by 2.9 and 2.8% respectively in 2023. And that is, even here, there were some problems over the last couple of years, a totally new administration, and they're bringing down, I can see while it's increased, I guess, overall, but I presume if they do the data, or I look at the data here, it should be on a decline based on what previous years were prior to this new administration, who's come in and basically turning the school around as far as the mentality and or ISS, the no nonsense. We're having fun, but we ain't playing, right? Mantra of the principal. So these are our numbers. And again, each school district and each parent and each school has its variations. And you need to pay attention to wherever your school or your student is. And if your student is coming home continuously with these notices that they've been suspended or indoor suspension and reading whatever the code violations are, because again, they coincide with the 1 through 26 that I have on the board, that they come in and they repeatedly go over. I had some students come in yesterday that were skipping, or we associate it with trespassing and or absences. Right? If you're not where you're supposed to be, you're trespassing because you're somewhere else, right? So we go over this continuously. And it gets a bit disheartening, you saying it over and over, and then you get these repetitive, or they continually come back, all right? So in 2023, the rate of long-term suspensions increased by 40.4% from 4.09%, 100,000 students from the previous academic year. All right? So I skipped a paragraph. Let's go back. North Carolina Public Schools, which educates more than 1.5 million students, assigned 264,510 in-school suspensions of a half a day or more to 131,704 students with a rate of 175.38 in-school suspensions per 1,000 students enrolled, up from 170.46 in 2023 through 2022 through 23. Black students, students with disabilities, male students, and students identifying with two or more race have the highest rate of in-school suspension per 1,000 students among the various student subgroups. All right, this is data worth digesting, just because, right? If it appears to be a problem or there's some sort of disparity in there, it needs to be examined. That's what you do. That's the whole concept of education and or scientific review, is to get the data and so you can solve a problem and perhaps eliminate any situations. In 2023 through 2024, the rate of long-term suspension increased by 48.4 from 47.09 per 100,000 students from the previous academic year. While the rate of alternative learning placement as disciplinary action dropped to 2.51 from 3.04, placement per 1,000 students year to year, Black students, American Indian students, students with disabilities, and male students had the highest rate of placement per 1,000. All right, Black students, American Indian students, students with disabilities, and male students had the highest rate of placements per 1,000 students. While looking at the data long term, it's important to remember that the COVID-19 pandemic changed the landscape of schools. Chief Accountability Officer said the classroom operated in 2018 through 2019, let alone 10 years ago, in 2013 through 14 to now, is vastly different. The use of technology and or other factors. While crime and violence in schools is never what we want, it is promising to see that the rate has dropped this year. All right. The North Carolina high school dropout rate for the 2023 through 2024 academic year decreased by 1.88 dropouts per every 100 high school students, from 1.95 in 2022 through 2023. The 2023 through 2024 schools dropout rate is the lowest in the past 10 years, excluding the 2019-2020 school year, which saw the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. North Carolina Public Schools reported 10,559 dropouts in grades 1 through 12, with the highest percentage of dropouts in grade 9 at 33.2%. Now, that ninth grade number, when I was in high school, that was about also, and I wrote a grant for our church in Miami, and I used a lot of the data that came down at that point, and the pivotal error grade point or dropout rate, if you lost them, it would be about the ninth grade, right? That's about the legal age, somewhere around 16, where they can legally drop out. And so we had a different setup. We had a feeder system that basically it was really staggered. We had elementary from 1st to 6th, and then we had to go to a different, predominantly historically Black high school that was now reduced to a middle school. We did 1 year of 7th grade. Then we went to another middle school. We did 8th and 9th, and then we had high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th. And so in my era, the 9th grade middle school was if you didn't finish at that middle school, you probably didn't. If there was problems, you didn't wind up in the 10th grade in high school in Dade County at that time. All right, so it varies, and so now certain districts, depending on how they set up their blocks, as far as schools are concerned, that's still about wherever you are. If you're in high school and you have a 9th grade, we had it here when I taught history the last 2 years, 9th, 10th, and 11th. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade was high school. And so we were in the same high school. So it varies throughout the country. I don't know what it is still now that in Miami-Dade County or in South Florida, but that was what it was. And that was a critical point. The 9th grade was, if you didn't, at that point, if you weren't making the grade or you didn't make the transition, you didn't make it to high school. When I was there, we'd lose a lot. You see certain students, you wouldn't see them in high school. And you presume maybe they moved or relocated or whatever. But a lot of that was just the fact that they dropped out. All right? So we're almost there. For the 6th consecutive academic year, 0 uses of corporal punishment were reported across the state. Now, 0 uses of corporal punishment. I'll have to go into that a little deeper. Corporal punishment is still on the books in the state of North Carolina, right? Which means, you remember back in the day, way back when Grandma, you, or whoever, there was a paddling or some sort of actual physical punishment. It is still on the books, like many laws are throughout the country. There's still certain laws on the books. They're not enforced anymore. And what happened here is it has not been reported in the state of North Carolina. Now, I saw this data a few years ago, or the information, for the 6th consecutive academic year. So I guess it's been 6 years. 0 use of corporal punishment were reported across the state. And so I'd have to go in and dig in and see exactly what the corporal punishment, what it entails. All right. Now, the last paragraph. Annually, the Consolidated Data Report provides a cooperatively analyzes the student discipline and dropout outcomes. It is a statutory requirement to report due to the General Assembly Joint Legislative Education Oversight Committee by March 15th each year. For more information about the Consolidated Data Report, visit the Discipline, ALP, and Dropout Data website. And so I'll be viewing that a little later. Just for my own edification, I get these emails. I got them as teachers when I was teaching those 2 years, and I get those emails from the state. That comes from my background in government. I try to pay as much attention to whatever's coming out as far as notifications. Now, this is a lot of eyewash as far as most of the average citizens are concerned, and we don't like to get into the weeds and the numbers, but the data is the data. And is it 100% accurate based on the information they gather? Yes, no, whatever. But it gives you a barometer of what you're looking at, okay? So with that being said, education, that's part of education, doing the research, doing the reading, and you must be able to read and comprehend. And so it's parents' obligation to know and ask these questions. Now, if your child, again, is constantly in ISS or OSS or out of school suspension or in some alternative education program, it is incumbent that you pay attention, because this is leading to what the mass incarceration data shows, right? And there's some studies that have been shown, years and years ago, that since the 3rd grade, this data has been accumulated, and this is how they're predicting the future population and building of jail facilities or prison facilities. So with that being said, it is your responsibility, it is your child, and you're going to be held accountable for what they do, because they're dependents, as I tell them every day. You're dependent upon mom, dad, whoever, to pay for their cell phone or whatever else. And these cell phones and this electronic device is going to get them in a world of trouble. All right? So appreciate you again. Please subscribe. And it's like being in school. This may not be the most glamorous conversation, but it is necessary. It adds value to your life, because if anything else, all the money you accumulate, you've had rich, wealthy families that have to put their school, don't have to, they put their schools in boarding school, put their students in boarding schools, they give them cars, they got any expense accounts and whatever, but what's missing is that parents' love and that attention. And so all the money you might make on YouTube, all the money that you want to become, all as powerful you want to be, but if your children are not getting the attention and you're not paying attention to them, and you allow them to think that you're their friend, right? This is a big problem. We're not friends. I'm your parent. I'm the adult in the room, all right? I love kids, but I don't play with children. Have a great day.